Your arteries have been turning to stone for 15 years. You have not noticed. If you have slept under 6 hours a night, if you have slept that way for more than 5 years, there is a 7-stage ladder inside every artery you own, and you cannot feel it. You can still walk away clean from stage 4. Stage 7 is different. Stage 7 is the afternoon a piece of plaque breaks loose and the artery closes in 5 minutes. This is how your arteries slowly petrify themselves in 7 stages. Stage 1 starts the first night you sleep less than 6 hours and your nervous system refuses to stand down. Your autonomic nervous system has 2 settings. Sympathetic, fight, run, react. Parasympathetic, rest, repair, digest. Sleep is when the parasympathetic side is supposed to take the wheel for 8 hours and let the vascular system patch itself up. 6 hours of sleep is not enough time for that handoff to complete. Your sympathetic nervous system stays partly online through the night. Your vagus nerve, the brake on your heart, fires 15% less than it should. Your heart rate does not drop the way it would in a fully rested body. Your blood pressure does not dip the normal 10 to 20% below daytime. Doctors call this non-dipper status. Non-dipper status doubles your risk of a heart attack inside the next 10 years. It does not show up on any standard panel. It does not show up on any test that your doctor ordered at your last physical. This is the part nobody flags. You will not feel any of this. You feel slightly more tired than usual. You drink an extra coffee. You attribute it to stress. What is happening underneath is that the brake on your heart has stopped fully engaging at night, and your arteries are spending 16 extra hours per day under pressure they were never built to hold continuously. Stage 1 is your nervous system writing the first check, but that is not the dangerous part. Stage 2 is the year your cortisol curve flattens out. Here is what is supposed to happen. A healthy adult has a cortisol curve shaped like a wave. High in the morning, a peak around 6 a.m. that pulls you out of bed. Low at night, a trough around 10 p.m. that lets you sleep. The ratio between morning peak and evening trough is normally about 8 to 1. After 3 years of sleeping under 6 hours, that ratio collapses. Morning cortisol stops peaking. Evening cortisol stops dropping. The curve flattens into a line. Your body no longer knows what time it is. This means your body is being washed in stress hormones 24 hours a day instead of 12. Cortisol's job is to mobilize energy for emergencies, but when it is always on, it stops mobilizing energy and starts breaking things instead. The thing it breaks first is the inner lining of your arteries. Cortisol suppresses the enzyme that makes nitric oxide, the molecule your endothelium uses to keep arteries relaxed and slick. Without nitric oxide, your arteries cannot dilate the way they should. They stay slightly clenched all the time. You feel none of this either. You feel wired in the evening and dead in the morning. You assume it is the new schedule. You start a magnesium. Some of it helps. Most of it does not. Stage 2 is the chemistry of your blood quietly changing in the background. Most people stop here. Most people are wrong. Stage 3 is when the inner lining of your arteries stops working. The endothelium is a single layer of cells coating the inside of every artery in your body. Spread it out and it covers an area the size of a tennis court. Its job is to be slick, to make nitric oxide, and to keep the blood from sticking to the walls. Chronic cortisol exposure plus chronic sympathetic overdrive plus chronic low-grade inflammation kills endothelial function, and then the tennis court surface becomes sticky. Specific patches stop making nitric oxide. The arteries cannot dilate when you stand up. They cannot dilate when you climb stairs. There is a test that measures this. Flow-mediated dilation, or FMD. A cuff is inflated on your forearm, released. An ultrasound watches how much the brachial artery widens to handle the rush of blood. Healthy arteries widen 8 to 10%. After 5 years of poor sleep, FMD drops below 5%. The American Heart Association does not recommend FMD as a routine test. It is research grade only. Less than 2% of cardiologists offer it. Here is the part nobody screens for. You feel none of this. You feel cold hands at the desk. You feel slightly out of breath on stairs you used to take fast. You assume you need cardio. You start the gym again. The gym helps. It does not reverse what is already there. By the end of stage 3, your endothelium has lost roughly 30% of its function, but most people at this point are doing fine by every measure they have access to. Their numbers are good. Their doctor is satisfied. They are sleeping badly and feel like they are probably just getting older. Before we move on, 3 stages in, your nervous system has stopped resetting at night. Your cortisol has lost its curve. Your endothelium has stopped making the molecule that keeps your arteries open. And here is the part that breaks people. The next 4 stages happen while your blood work still reads normal. Stage 4 is the year the wall starts taking in fat. Here is the cruel part. None of stages 1 through 3 appears on a lipid panel. Your LDL is normal. Your HDL is normal. Your blood pressure at the doctor's office is 120/80. You ask if your heart is fine. The answer is yes. This is the stage between 3 and 4 that most adults live in for years. You feel slightly worse than you used to. You blame age. You blame work. You blame the new job and the old mattress. You buy a sleep tracker and it tells you you average 5 hours 46 minutes a night, and that is the only thing in your life that is honest. The next 4 stages are what happens when the silent damage becomes structural. What happens next is worse. Stage 4 is the year fat starts entering the artery wall. LDL, low-density lipoprotein, has been circulating in your blood your entire life. In a healthy artery, LDL bounces off the slick endothelial surface and keeps moving. In your now damaged endothelium, LDL slows, and then specific particles get oxidized as they linger near sticky patches. Oxidized LDL slips through the lining into the intima, the deep wall of the artery, the layer your blood was never supposed to reach. Once it is there, monocytes follow. Monocytes are white blood cells, the body's first responders, designed to recognize and contain damage. They recognize oxidized LDL as foreign. They cross into the wall to deal with it. This is the first fatty streak. Pathologists find them in the arteries of 60% of 30-year-olds. Most people have already entered stage 4 by the time they get their first office job. Your standard lipid panel sees none of this. The LDL still in your bloodstream is the same number it was last year. The LDL that has moved into your artery wall does not get measured. It is no longer in the blood. And then it gets worse. You feel nothing. The fat is now inside the wall. Stage 4 is the year your artery starts becoming something other than an artery. But here is what no one tells you next. Stage 5 is the year a plaque forms. The monocytes that entered the wall transform. They become macrophages, larger, hungrier white blood cells, the body's hazmat team, designed to contain and neutralize. They engulf the oxidized LDL trapped in the intima. Each macrophage swallows so much LDL that it bloats with fat globules. Under a microscope, the fat globules look like foam. The cells are now called foam cells. Foam cells secrete signals that recruit smooth muscle cells from deeper in the arterial wall. The smooth muscle cells form a fibrous cap over the lesion. The cap is what makes a fatty streak into a plaque. This is the moment a coronary artery calcium scan would see you. A CAC score under 10 is normal. 10 to 100 is mild plaque burden. 100 to 400 is moderate. 400 and above is severe. Most adults get their first CAC score in their 50s, if they get one at all. Most cardiologists do not order it before age 45. By the time it is ordered, the plaque has been forming for a decade. A CAC score above 100 at age 40 raises your 10-year heart attack risk to roughly 20%. The same person with a CAC score of 0 is at roughly 2%. But here is the thing, you are not symptomatic. You are running on plaque you cannot see. Stage 5 is a CT scan away from being visible. No one orders the scan. This is where it becomes permanent. 1 year of bad sleep is a heart rate that does not slow at night. 5 years is a cortisol curve that runs flat, but 15 years is a heart that has been pumping through narrowed pipes for so long that you have forgotten what it feels like to climb a flight of stairs without your chest tightening, and you blame that on age too. Here is where we are. The vagus has gone quiet. The cortisol has flattened. The endothelium has gone sticky. The fat has moved into the wall. The plaque has formed. You are now 5 stages from the start, and the next 2 stages are when the silent damage becomes physical, and the years left on the clock start coming off the back end. Stage 6 is the year the plaque turns to stone. Inside every plaque, foam cells die. Smooth muscle cells die. The dead cells release calcium phosphate. Calcium crystals begin to deposit in the spaces between cells. Over years, the plaque transforms from soft and fatty to hard and crystalline. This is the petrification. A doctor calls this calcific atherosclerosis. The plaque is now visible on a non-contrast CT scan as bright white speckles or streaks along the coronary arteries. This is what a calcium score measures. A calcium score between 100 and 400 carries a 10-year heart attack risk of roughly 22%. A calcium score above 400 carries a 10-year risk of 36%. The worst part is that this score will only ever climb. The strange part is that calcium in the artery wall does not reverse. There is no medication, no diet, no exercise program that has been shown to remove calcified plaque. The most aggressive statin therapy ever studied reduces plaque volume by 2 to 3% over 2 years. The calcium itself stays, but what you can do starting now is stop new plaque from forming. The plaque that is already calcified is locked in. Stage 6 is the year your arteries become biographies. Each calcified speckle is a year of sleep you did not get, a cortisol peak you did not have, a vagus that did not engage. The CT scan reads you backward. What no one tells you is that this is where the cap starts to fail. Stage 7 is the final stage. Most people who reach it feel reasonably well the morning it happens. A thin spot develops on the fibrous cap of one of your plaques. The cap was made of smooth muscle cells. After years of inflammation, those cells die. The cap thins from a healthy 200 micrometers to less than 65 micrometers. 65 micrometers is the threshold. Below it, the cap is called vulnerable, and then the cap fractures. It can happen during sleep. It can happen during sex. It can happen during a sneeze. The contents of the plaque, oxidized LDL, foam cell debris, cholesterol crystals, spill into the channel of the artery, the pipe your blood has moved through for decades. Platelets recognize the spilled material as a wound. They clot in seconds. The clot grows for minutes. If the artery is wide enough, blood flows around it. If the artery is already narrowed by years of plaque, the clot closes the lumen entirely. The tissue downstream begins to die in 4 minutes. If the artery is in your heart, this is a myocardial infarction. If it is in your brain, this is an ischemic stroke. 50% of all heart attacks happen in people who had no warning symptoms. 30% of first heart attacks are fatal. Most of those people had a calcium score they never measured, slept 5.5 hours for 15 years, and were told their cholesterol panel was normal. This is what 15 years of arterial petrification looks like. This is the afternoon, the hour, the minute. The damage is real. The record reads clean. The system was not built to find this, and for 15 years it did not. 7 stages: sympathetic, cortisol, endothelium, infiltration, plaque, calcium, rupture. There is no warning before stage 2. There is no symptom in stage 4. There is no coming back after stage 7. Get a coronary artery calcium scan before you turn 50. Most doctors will not order it. You have to ask. The most dangerous thing about a heart attack is that it feels survivable right until the minute it isn't. The next stage of this story is your liver, and the same nights of bad sleep are starting a slower fire there right now. Subscribe, then send this to a parent. Send this to anyone who sleeps 6 hours and tells you they are fine. And tell me, how many hours did you actually sleep last night?